This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
What's up, everyone? It is game day. Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Andrew Paterson, Michael Remis with you. We got a busy show today. Jets in the Twin Cities to take on the Minnesota Wild tonight. Always love to catch up with our pal Jessi Pierce with NHL.com and the Bar Down Buttes podcast. She'll join us coming up first. We'll tee this one up tonight. Check in with our pal Jamie Thomas. Been a minute since we've had Jamie on the program. We'll get into the latest on the Winnipeg Jets, and we'll also, I'm going to have to pick his brain on the playoffs in the NFL. He is the commissioner, of course, he's a big-time fantasy guy, but he's also a Dolphins fan. So who the heck are the Dolphins getting? Where does Mike McDaniel go yet? We'll have some fun with Jamie. And then, with so much talk about, obviously, Elias Salmonson getting called up, Isaac Phillips being with the team right now, potential moves of some veteran players as the Jets get closer to the deadline with where they currently sit in the standings. We got to get Dan Fink on to get the latest on the Manitoba Moose, a bit of an update on some of the other prospects that have had some quieter seasons. Obviously, Danny Zhilkin is enjoying his time in the NHL, having earned that spot. We'll get the latest on Brad Lambert and Colby Barlow, Braden Yeager, and more with the Manitoba Moose from the road with Dan Fink coming up a little bit later on. Jake Bowen-Moss is going to join us at the end of the program as well. Big slate of games tonight in the National Hockey League, but the one we're focusing in on is Winnipeg and Minnesota. Jets looking to extend their winning streak to 4 on a quick one-game road trip before coming back to host the Toronto Maple Leafs on Saturday night at Canada Life Centre. Just before we bring in Michael Remis, big shout-out and thanks to all of our sponsors, our partners at Coolbet Canada, of course, the Winnipeg Jets. Don't forget, the next WST game is going to be the last game before the Olympic break, February 4th. Against the Montreal Canadiens. That will be a fun game to be at. Would love to have you join us. Go to winnipegjets.com/WST to grab your tickets and join us for that. Your ticket does include a beverage of your choice. Also want to thank the gang over at Princess Auto. Of course, we'll get into the lines for today's game, brought to you by Clean Line and Chud's Power Sports as well. Dermot just let me know. Beautiful new website for the folks over at Chud's. Feeling on that a little bit later on. Also want to thank Uptown Alley, Princess Auto, Canadian Club, St. Vital Dental Center, Rollies Transfer, Manitoba Battery, along with Boston Pizza, Royal Sports, Little Brown Jug, and we will get to a why not question of the day for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. Michael Remis, what is going on?
I'm fired up for the new Chud's website. It's going to look great when we do pull it up for the reads. So I'm fired up for that. And, looking forward to this game tonight. Winnipeg Jets taking the 3-game win streak against Minnesota. All those wins at home. They had this tough schedule, but it's a nice, cozy 5-game homestand. How are they going to do on the road for a 1-gamer into Minnesota? Short flight, but haven't won on the road, Huss, since November 29. 9 straight road losses. So is this Winnipeg Jets team, are they on a heater? Are they about to win 10 in a row and get back in the playoff hunt? Or is it what we've seen for most of the season? So big rivalry match, Jets Wild. I don't know if the Wild are going to be wearing their 25th anniversary unis, which they wore last time in Minnesota, which looked awesome. I think Gaborik was there ringing the bell or whatever they have. So it's going to be interesting matchup. Always a tough one between these two teams. A lot of history there. So I'm fired up.
Yeah, listen, I just loved Wild games for the last few years because the Jets won them all. It had been a long time since the Jets had lost to the Minnesota Wild, and of course, that happened at home, coming out of the Christmas break. In one of the games of the 11 game streak, that the team certainly played well enough to win, and yet found a way to lose. And that was at a time where the Wild had been really, really good. I mean, they had won 7 in a row before losing to the Avalanche and the Predators heading into the Christmas break. They beat the Jets. They beat the Golden Knights on the road. But since then, they've only won 2 of their last 7 games. And their last time out, was they did lose a shootout to the Islanders. But the New Jersey Devils, who seem to be just in free fall after their loss to the Jets on Sunday afternoon, went into the Grand Casino Arena. No longer. The artist formerly known as the XL Energy Center. And the Devils beat them 5-2. So this Minnesota team, like Dallas, seems to be coming back to earth a little bit. But the bottom line, Remis, is that this is one of the top teams in the NHL. I think I had them number 2 in the Chuds Power Sports Power Poll yesterday, just because Dallas is sort of, as ugly as the Wild's record has been relatively, Dallas has sort of been in that same spot. But to me, this team is just entirely different with Quinn Hughes. I mean, the addition of Quinn Hughes is a guy that literally makes everybody on the ice with him a more dangerous offensive player. And the Jets certainly will have their hands full keeping him and the Wild in check tonight.
Yeah, I love the addition of Quinn Hughes for Minnesota. They have been searching for a number one defenseman, number 1 power play defenseman for years. Hadn't had one, and they drafted Zeev Buium thinking he was going to be the guy of the future, but the team's pretty good now. So one way to fast forward a little, the timeline is trade him and a couple other, another first-round pick and 2 other former first-rounders for Quinn Hughes, who is elite, and they're going for it. Haven't been out of the first round for a long time. And credit to Bill Guerin for what did Quinn Hughes call it? Sacking up. Yes, sacking up and making the trade. And a great season here for Quinn Hughes. Almost point per game, 39 and 41. And we saw him in overtime last time these 2 teams played in Winnipeg, late December. We'll note the home team won every game, the road team won every game between these 2. The Jets losing both at home, but winning in Minnesota. So fun fact right there.
From when?
They're 1-1-1 this year.
This season. This season. This season. We'll get to more of this, and we'll hear from both the lineup tonight. Originally, it was reported it looked like Elias Salmonson wouldn't be playing, but then we've heard, courtesy of Mike McIntyre, who is there, that he said he is in fact playing. So it looks like Isaac Phillips is going to be the extra. Samberg will be in, but we'll get to that coming up in a few minutes in the Clean Line lines, or we'll get to them right now because we've got them up and they're locked and loaded and ready to go. Of course, our lines presented by Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, your local leader for over 40 years in the official plumbing service of the Winnipeg Jets, captain approved, 24/7 emergency services available from Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, 204-500-2001. Connor Scheifele-Iafallo, the second line, which has really been the line in the last few games. Obviously, Mark Scheifele got on the board with a couple of assists last week, but Jonathan Toews has scored in 3 in a row. That's what they were missing, really, production from the second line in the first half of the season. They're getting it now, and the wins are following. Perfetti, Toews, Velarde. Lowry in between Nino and Vladimir Nemetsnikov. And the fourth line looks like Morgan Barron is back. So that means Koepke on the left, Pearson on the right, and Danny Zhilkin, the 13th forward. Defense, based on the morning skate, Stanley and Schenn were together. So with Elias in, we'll expect him to spend some time with Dylan Samberg. And that's a really intriguing pairing. I like the idea of Salamonson playing with Dylan Sandberg. They'll probably get plenty of opportunity to get out there, and it kind of seemed like a pretty good compliment as well, with the offensive gifts that Elias has, along with the stay-at-home nature of Dylan Sandberg and, of course, Maurice DeMello, the top pair. And Connor Hellebuck looks to start again tonight with Eric Comrie as the backup. There are your projected lines tonight, brought to you by Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. We'll hear from Arnie in a minute and have more on this game, Remo. But last night in the NHL, how about those Buffalo Sabres, man? They just keep on winning games. They had that incredible 10-game win streak. They had an ugly loss to the Blue Jackets. They rebounded right away with 3 in a row. They lose a close one to Philly, and then rebound with a win against the Flyers. And for Jet fans that are hoping that something like that is possible with the home team, you look at what Buffalo's done. They've got Montreal tonight at home on the second end of a back-to-back. Very important game for them with another team that's right there in the mix. The Sabres continue to get it done. The Vegas Golden Knights come through once again. I mean, you knew that Vegas and LA were going to go to overtime, right? I mean, how could we not? You look at Vegas, who has 12 overtime losses or shootout losses, and now LA has 11, number 1 and 2 in the league. It seemed like that was almost destined to happen, that would be a 3-point game. But the game last night that was of most interest to me was the Ottawa Rangers game. And there's been a lot of talk about Ottawa and all the smoke around the rumors around the Ottawa team, the statement that Steve Staios put out, just where their game's been at. But if you want another team in the Tire Fire division, look no further than the New York Rangers, who lost their 5th in a row last night. They are now 5-13-4 at home on the season, and they gave up a snowman to the Ottawa Senators last night. It is getting ugly in the Big Apple for the Blue Shirts.
Yeah, the Rangers have been on the end of some big losses. A lot of the same questions that Vancouver fans and media were asking of JT Miller. It seems like a very similar story there, where a guy who's supposed to be one of your leaders appears to be very disinterested. And the Rangers were a team that was like a contender a couple years ago. They haven't gone full rebuild here or full teardown, but you wonder what the future holds. Panarin, a UFA after this season. Zibanejad, his name's been floated around. They do have some nice young talent, son of Yannick Perreault, Gabriel Perreault, second line there, but giving up 8, but Shesterkin's hurt. You got John Quick, the veteran, whose best days certainly behind him, Huss. Not going well in the Rangers. Didn't they have that long streak where they couldn't win at home to start the year too?
Yeah, and they got shut out. I think they've been shut out 4 times at least. They couldn't even score a goal at home to start things off, and it's not much better now.
Dead last right now in the East behind Columbus, and they played more games. Minus 21 goal differential after that one last night. 4-game losing streak, 2-6-2 in their last 10. New York Rangers, that's a team to watch. I do wonder about Panarin, where he's going to land, if they do move him or resign somewhere.
I was just about to go there. I mean, Panarin in the final year of his deal, an expiring contract. He's making almost $12 million. He's 11.6. But, once you get to the trade deadline, the majority of that's already been paid. There is absolutely no doubt that a team that feels like they're close would love to have Artemi Panarin come in. Now, he's 34 years old. I don't know what that next contract is going to look like. It's probably not going to look like the one that he's got right now. But, I mean, this is still a guy that is an elite NHL contributor. And, with the Rangers in the bottom of the league right now, looking to kind of, at some point, they're going to be, okay, we're moving on to next season. That, I think he would immediately go to number 1 on most trade boards when you look at other prospective unrestricted free agents, of which there's not many because everyone's already signed the extensions.
Yeah, this offseason, there, as you said, so many guys have already signed. not a ton of UFAs. He's an older player, still very productive, Panarin. That is someone to watch here. Well, through the trade deadline, as we're getting into trade deadline season, trade boards coming out, rumors are flying, getting a lot of reaction here on this channel. And I'm sure around the league, those conversations will be having, because is this like the first trade deadline, the Olympic break, the Jets playing their last game? We will be there against Montreal on February 4. But the Olympics, sooner than you think, Huss, the Olympic break.
Well, and just speaking of the feedback and comments on recent shows, I mean, and this is natural in this sort of business. If your team is doing really well, the numbers spike. If the team's doing really poorly, the numbers spike. But it also, I think, has spiked the amount of conversations that, we've been having around some pretty interesting topics that wouldn't be topics if the team was firmly in a playoff spot. And, we had John Shannon on yesterday for a fun chat on a number of topics. But, Remo, I can't remember something that was as hot button as Logan Stanley's situation with the Winnipeg Jets probably to your point, back to PLD. I mean, and we just look at the numbers. I mean, like that clip that we put out of the conversation with John yesterday has gone nuclear. I mean, I even got a text from him saying, wow, the feedback to our conversation today is wild because there's just so much of it. And listen, like the most fun topics to discuss when it comes to the sports talk world are ones where people have some passionate feelings on both sides. And listen, some people will tell you that the answer is obvious, but to most people it is not. And I mean, what was the poll you would put out? I mean, was it trade or re-sign when it comes to Logan Stanley? And this is in sort of that 40-60, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's trending more towards 50-50 with the season that he's having right now. That being said, very hard-line, passionate opinions on both sides of this debate.
I'm putting out the poll again because it's been so passionate about, everyone wants to sit back and play GM. They want to play fantasy hockey here and have these conversations. And we have been getting a ton of engagement. I've been joking. We're now WST Winnipeg Stan talk as we talk about the defenseman Logan Stanley on the third pair. Practiced on power play 2 today, Hustler, with Pionk out. Now, Salamonson did take some reps, but Stan, who's been putting the puck in the back of the net this year, imagine seeing that clapper on PP2 tonight for the Jets in Minnesota. But
I'm here for it. I am absolutely here for it. I would love to see it. So let's get to it. Why not question of the day for not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. And it's pretty simple. From your perspective, based on where the Jets are right now, what should the Jets do with Logan Stanley? Trade him or re-sign him? Very simple question. Let us know in the chat. We'll see how we get to. We'll see where we get to the end of it at that. As I mentioned, Jessi Pierce is going to join us coming up in a few minutes. We went through the lines, but I know it was a little bit late. But I do believe we've got Arneal, who has spoken about tonight's lineup and the upcoming game against the Minnesota Wild. So let's hear from the coach on a game day edition of WST. Here is Scott Arneal.
We're trying to piece together maybe some of the line configurations at Morningside. I don't know how much we should read into that, but can you confirm if Elias is going to be in the lineup tonight?
Yeah, no, he's in. They got crossed up on the colors there, so.
Oh, okay.
Because of the power play. New guys,
Gotcha.
So. And Bear's good to go. So.
He is, okay.
Yeah.
And so Elias would go with Dylan Sandberg? Is that the plan on that?
Yeah, he'll start with him.
In terms of Morgan, do you put him right back with like Adam, or do you?
No, he'll probably go on that fourth line in the center.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's that going to mean to have? Both those guys, Elias and Morgan, especially, bring a lot of speed, right?
Especially coming into this building. Yeah. Obviously, they've got more than one line, and it's just having those guys, both units, kind of when they're out there playing a heavy game, kind of recognizing how who they're against and doing the right things that way. So, really haven't had the luxury of to be in this point this year. So it's nice to kind of have 4 up and running.
I'm not sure if you'd prefer to be facing the Minnesota Wild when they were on a lengthy winning streak, or now catching them when they've lost a couple. But they might be a bit of an ornery bunch tonight, right?
Yeah, I think that, I don't know if it always matters. I think that just us and Mini, the rivalry that we have, the Central Division, we bump into each other an awful lot. And, obviously just brings out the best in us, and we bring out the best in them. So expecting one of those games again. It'll probably have physicality to it. And then, they're trying to get themselves back in the winning ways, and we want to keep ourselves rolling and moving forward.
When you look back at maybe recent run of road games, like have you seen your team maybe play a different way on the road, and can lessons learned from this last homestand hopefully translate now?
Yeah, I'm trying not to go back too much, but at the end of the day, you have to be, how you play at home is how you have to play on the road. There's no, it's not like you can turn it off and on and do different things. We need to do that. Certainly with our back end having some injuries, we got to make sure that we're really simplifying how we do things. Don't feed into Mini's transition. They have, especially their top 6, they can move. They got some defense that are coming all the time. So try to force them to play more in their end of the rink than ours.
All right, so there's Scott Arneal. Elias Salmonson playing with Dylan Sandberg tonight. Makes a lot of sense with him coming in to kind of take over for Neil Pionk's role. And then both Salmonson and Logan Stanley getting a look on the second power play unit, which is something that usually I'm in favor of just keeping the ones out there as long as possible. But I'm interested to see how either of those players will do with the man advantage. Certainly Elias, a big part of the power play with Manitoba. And this would be the first time I think we've ever really seen Logan Stanley involved in the Jets power play, which is just going to make these conversations that much more heated, I'm sure, in the Discord and in the chat room for Winnipeg Sports Talk.
It's hot, and look, I put it on our Facebook page, or Connor put out the video of the John Shannon clip about Logan Stanley. We have the video of you and Mike talking about the Jets trade deadline plans, like could Luke Shen be on the move, or Logan Stanley. That video, one of our best performing ones, and tons of comments. So a lot of opinions either way, and we have this poll out. It's kind of similar to earlier in the week, 101 votes. What should the Jets do with Logan Stanley, who's a UFA after the season? Trade him, 65%. Re-sign him, 35%. So this is PLD territory. I might have to put him in the WST Content Hall of Fame with Dubois and Barry Trotz, because
I think there's no doubt. I think that if, regardless of how this turns out, it is going to turn into Winnipeg Stan talk quite a bit. And I'll tell you what, with the season he's had, it's been fun, talking about him at the rink. I do have a feeling that the responses to this is different on social media than if you're talking to people in the building. But again, everyone's got a take on this one, and you can vote in the chat right now, 64-36 in favor of a deal. Elias is getting in tonight. I'm actually quite looking forward to him. We've got some of him. We'll play it a little bit later on. Jessi Pierce is going to join us in just a couple minutes. So let me thank our friends at Uptown Alley for their support of WST. Folks, if you're looking for a hell of a fun outing for kids, teens, adults alike, get on down to Uptown Alley at 1301 St. Matthews Avenue. 5-pin and 10-pin bowling. A state-of-the-art arcade with some of the best games on the market. Incredible food and beverage, and of course, all sorts of fun carnival-style games where you can win tickets to win great prizes that you can take home after your time. Uptown Alley is the spot for birthday parties of kids of all ages, but also an amazing spot for group and corporate outings and events. Just let them know what activities you're planning on doing, what you would like to eat, and any add-ons, and their event staff will take care of all of the rest. You can find out more online at uptownalley.ca. Give them a call at 488-0000. And don't forget that great bowl and play special every night after 9 p.m. Our friends at Rolly's Transfer are ready to move into 2026. If you are planning a move in the new year, make sure to contact our great partners at Rolly's Transfer. 60 years and more, family-owned and operated right here in Winnipeg, and the most trusted name in the moving business to help make the stressful time of moving as stress-free as possible. Check them out at Rollies.com. You can click on Request an Estimate. Use that promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and supplies. Then simply let them know when and where you're moving and what needs to be moved. And the friendly gang at Rollies will turn around quickly with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment and service that they are famous for. Rollies, the most trusted name in the moving game. Find out more today over at Rollies.com. All smiles for our friends at St. Vital Dental Center. And as we get into the new year, if it's been a minute since you've been to the dentist, or you're looking for a great long-term home for you and your family for dental services, St. Vital Dental Center is the spot. They've been doing it for generations of Winnipeggers in St. Vital, and now have a beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's with convenient free parking right behind the building and a full array of dental services for clients from 6 months to 99 plus. You can take care of it all with a great crew, Dr. Terry and his wonderful staff there. Go to stviteldental.ca, make an appointment today, and when you pop in, tell them that the boys at Winnipeg Sports Talk sent you. And just before we head out to the Twin Cities, big cheers to our friends at Canadian Club, Canada's original Canadian whiskey since 1848, cranking out the good stuff, the iconic Canadian whiskey, Canadian Club, the official spirit of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And I know it's snowy and cold outside, but it won't be long before we're back at Princess Auto Stadium enjoying those CC and ginger ales and watching on the Bombers. And speaking of CC and ginger ale, if you are at your local Manitoba Liquor Mart or your local beer store, keep your eyes out for limited quantities remaining of the Canadian Club Cranberry Ginger Ale. Was such a big hit over the holidays. I'm hoping it becomes a permanent fixture of their offerings. But while supplies last, pick it up and get that great taste of the holidays. Pre-mixed in cans, the Cranberry Ginger Ale Canadian Club, available now at both beer stores and Manitoba Liquor Marts. All right, let's head down to the Twin Cities. Lots going on there these days, I will say that. Jessi Pierce, the bar down Butte herself, NHL.com as well, joins us. What's going on? How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys doing? Things are well? Happy New Year?
Things are a little better in the last week than they were before. I mean, I'm sure you guys were all very concerned about the 11-game losing streak that this team went through that found them dead last in the National Hockey League. Seriously, though, Jessi, you know this team. We see them all the time. How shocking has it been from your perspective just to see where the Winnipeg Jets have fallen to halfway into the season?
It's crazy because I was like, did that window close? Like, I had that Winnipeg window open for quite some time here for you guys as far as being cup contenders. And once you were inching toward that double digits, once you hit 10 straight, I was like, that is grim. That is Buffalo Sabres territory. But Buffalo's turned it around. You guys are kind of turning around. Nashville, all these teams that had seemingly been really, really bad have started to kind of find their way piece by piece. If longevity is there, I'm not sure. We'll see. But yeah, as a Minnesotan, I can't say we were, crying tears of sadness.
I wouldn't expect it to be. I can tell you that if the shoe is on the other foot, there would be much celebration in the chat rooms. But hey, it's a great rivalry, two great teams, and the Wild, for their part. I mean, listen, I did our Chud's Power Sports Power Poll. I still have them number 3 in the league. Ahead of Dallas right now. Both of those teams sort of kind of just been a little quieter for the last couple of weeks. But, I mean, the strength of the entire National Hockey League is in the Central Division. And that's another story about the playoff format and all that we always have each and every year. But I did catch the game on Monday. And listen, New Jersey was just in here, lost to the Jets. They were in a really ugly spot. They ended up coming out with the win. Have the Wild taken the foot off the gas a little bit lately? What's the latest with the team after such an incredible run after getting Quinn Hughes?
Yeah, not great. They've lost 4 or 5. They picked up some points on a very long road trip, a 7-game road trip before they came back here for 2, lost in overtime Saturday. And then you mentioned that New Jersey game. It looked like Minnesota had played the night before, not New Jersey. Very peculiar. It was one of their worst games I've seen them play in quite some time. Because even those losses on the road, they still had that punch. They still had that energy. They had the attention to details. And those were kind of very absent against New Jersey. New Jersey is a quick team. You can't give them much ice, and they managed to find it. I mean, I'm going to say this as nicely as I can. They made Jacob Markstrom look like a good goaltender on Monday night, the Minnesota Wild did, which is saying something. They just weren't able to get shots on net, all of that. But I think tonight, that's why there has to be a big response. Not only is it a divisional game, it's a rivalry that has been created between Minnesota and Winnipeg, which is a ton of fun. But you have to prove that you aren't that team that showed up on Monday, because that team isn't a team that's going to go far in the playoffs, unfortunately, even if you have Quinn Hughes, even though you have Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Boldy. I know the schedule's tough. It's tough for everybody. It's every other night. It's a lot of hockey. So you can't really use that as an excuse. Minnesota had 2 days of rest, 2 days off. No reason you are not going to be ready to go tonight in St. Paul against the Jets at puck drop.
What's John Hines had to say? I mean, he's got to be pleased with where the team is in the standings, the way they played so far, but you never want to get complacent.
Yeah, exactly. And Hines said that he felt that they just didn't really show up with a lot of energy. There was zero energy, zero momentum for the Minnesota team. Again, a team that wasn't coming off of a game the night before. New Jersey should not have had that energy and that swing like they did, especially when it was the quote unquote Hughes Bowl. We had all the amp going for you, right? You got Quinn, you got Luke, you got Jack, everybody. Minnesota did. They just seemed kind of dog tired. So hopefully, again, those 2 days of rest, as Hines said, gives them not just the actual rest and recovery physically, but mentally. He's like, I think they just needed that reset, not to go back to that road trip. But that was a long road trip because World Juniors were in town, so you had to keep them away a little bit longer. So I do think that just the fatigue eventually wore on them. They close out this quick little homestand before they have another tough upcoming road trip where they visit the Sabres. You're going to see Detroit come to town too. So there's just no rest for the Wicked, but it's not time to complain or sit back at all by any means.
We'll get back to Hughes in a second. Did you take in much of the World Juniors? How was that? I mean, I realized they didn't get a lot of the Canadian fans that I think they were hoping to, which probably dented it a little bit. And then obviously no one was expecting a gold medal final that didn't have Canada or the United States. But how did you enjoy the event, and what did you take away from it?
Yeah, I'm a huge World Juniors fan. I interned at USA Hockey way back in the day in 2010 when I saw US win gold that year in particular. So I've been in love with this tournament ever since. Unfortunately, it's still very niche here in the US, even in Minnesota, who loves their hockey. You guys know we love our hockey here.
That's true.
We love Minnesota hockey. Probably a little more than just regular hockey, though. You know what I mean? So I think there was just a lot of unfamiliarity with some of these players, with these teams, because even the Minnesota guys, most of them play for the program, right? So they're not staying in high school. They're not guys that, many folks are familiar with, which is a damn shame, because I got to say that semifinal games on Sunday was so good when you're watching Finland and Sweden and Czechia and Canada. I mean, that was a fun game. That was 2 really fun games to advance the medal. I would have loved to see U.S. and Canada had squared off too. I think the U.S., speaking of pulling their foot off the pedal, should have looked to win Group A and really try to set up that type of matchup and whatnot. But it was fun. I had a ton of fun. Obviously, it's really great when you see other countries come in and their fandom. It would have been nice if some of you Canadians had made the trek down here, but obviously I understand the number of reasonings why. It was just really great to experience in person, because it was. I love that type of hockey. I'm a college hockey girl too, and that's very similar to what we saw at an even higher level.
Well, they do call it the state of hockey. I mean, I'm always amazed at the crowds that are out for the high school tournament at the end of the year, and that is something that you really don't find it's high school sports. I mean, obviously, like Texas football and things like that is, almost like pro sports at this point. But there is, that grassroots level that, that Minnesota is really famous for. But, the thing is, we've got this 25-year head start with the World Juniors kind of taking over our televisions on TSN, and it's slower to be picked up. Although I will give the Swedes and the Finns credit. When it was back there, night and day as far as attention than it maybe had a little bit later on. But did seem like a good tournament. Obviously, some things are out of your control, and the Yanks getting bounced in the quarterfinals certainly not part of the plan. Anyways, back to the Wild. You mentioned it was the Hughes Bowl. Listen, Luke's been getting booed at home. Jack had his steak dinner incident and is now rolling around with Tate McRae. But when you think of the Hughes, you think of Quinn right now, and he's now had a nice run in the Quinnesota era, if you will. I mean, how has he changed the Minnesota Wild, and how different is this team from 2 months ago to where they are right now with 43, teaming up with Brock Faber on a pairing that we could very well see at the Olympic Games?
Exactly. Brock Faber now finding the back of the net, finding his groove. And to his credit, he was starting to reemerge a little bit the season before Quinn. And I think there was just that injection of excitement, not just for Brock Faber, but for Kirill and Marcus Foligno and everybody on this Minnesota Wild roster, because that move says, we're going to go win a Stanley Cup. It doesn't just say we're going to get out of the first round of the playoffs, which is generally what the Minnesota fan base is used to. I mean, you go and trade for a guy like Quinn Hughes. You give up Zebullium, who people were very, very excited about, right? For Quinn, though, it's Quinn freaking Hughes. I think everybody still can't fully grasp it. And even myself, I catch myself just watching him on his zone entries and the way that he skates and the way that he moves and the way that he creates. It's really something so special and enigmatic that I'm just drawn to it. And the great thing is he's finally starting to find some of that chemistry. I mean, him and Kirill Kaprizov think the game very much alike. So them being on the ice at the same time is so much fun because they both create these opportunities and now are starting to be able to read off one another a little bit more effectively. I mean, Quinn creates that offense. I mean, it's just incredible to watch. And he's bringing Brock Faber and helping him find a new role to not only have that creation as well, but be stout defensively. And Quinn Hughes also really good defensively too, in case you guys forgot. I mean, he does it all. And to get him at his prime too, it's just been a dramatic effect. Now, these last few games aside, obviously with the losses, I mean, I think they'd lost one game in regulation since the Quinn trade up until 2 nights ago. So it's been really, really fun. It's really exciting. Still a piece away, but Quinn Hughes certainly adds a ton to the Minnesota Wild roster.
Yeah, he's so dynamic. When we talk about the defensive abilities, I mean, the best defense you can play is living in the other team's end.
Yes.
And that is what happens more often than not. And Faber, I imagine, is really benefiting from the arrival of Hughes.
Oh, absolutely. And again, he was so excited. So Brock knows, I think, Jack a little bit, and Matt Boldy knows Jack a little bit more. So they're not as familiar with Quinn because he's a bit older. But like you mentioned, that's a lethal Olympic pairing if you can move them up to Team USA. Brock's finding more zone time. He's doing great quarterbacking power play too as well, because obviously Quinn takes over that pressure. It's great. Brock has, again, reemerged a little bit because it was a slow start. It was a slow start for the entire Minnesota team, if we all remember October and how grim things were then. But it rises Brock to a different level, and it raises everybody on the team, because I think they all recognize what that trade signified and the belief that Billy had. So I think they're trying to prove to Quinn that this is a place he'd like to stay, because again, there have been no promises of an extension, which would be a tough go. So I think the better that they all can play around Quinn and help support him, the more likely he's going to fall in love with the state of hockey, I have to imagine.
Well, you know what? I mean, it's funny. I was just hanging out with some dudes in between the one of the periods at the last game that we were at. On, what was it, Tuesday night, that was Wednesday, whatever. And we were talking about this game against the Wild, and we got talking about Quinn Hughes and the trade. And, one of the things that I think, there's a couple things that I think bode well for Minnesota right now. First of all, things aren't going well in Jersey at all, despite the fact that they won that game. Luke Hughes, who they've made a big, and I think it was sort of an investment in the Hughes brand in getting Luke. He's been getting booed by the fans, and they, Jersey, they don't take it easy on people if they're not producing. Jack obviously is going to be coming up much earlier than he, and a very different player, the forward of the two. But when you look at Minnesota, with the commitment that they've given to other players, certainly the commitment that they're more than willing to do for Quinn Hughes. And one of the things that I think was lost on a lot of people was the timing of the deal in Quinn Hughes' contract. It allows Minnesota to be the one team that can offer him the 8th year. And I don't know his agent, but I mean, at a certain point when you're signing a life-changing deal that really will be the one big contract you're signing for the rest of your life, that 8th year at big money is really significant, Jessi, when people are making decisions as to whether to go somewhere else. I mean, you could be talking about in excess of $16-17 million for a year that, let's face it, at that point in your career on the open market, you probably can't expect to get.
Oh, 100%. And Bill Guerin will do whatever it takes, right? Like, he's a guy that gets what he wants. In case you guys haven't figured that out yet, Bill Guerin and Craig Leopold, the owner, go and get what they want. And if that is Jack and Luke to join him to make Quinn happier, he will figure out a way, because you know what? Minnesota needs a number one center very, very desperately at some point here. And who plays center? Oh, good buddy Jack. There was a funny tweet that I received before the Hughes Bowl on Monday where someone had mentioned maybe the Wild fans should cheer and scream every time Luke and Jack also touch the puck, just to show them that they love them, and maybe kind of a little bit of fan tampering, if you will. But no, I mean, I think it was even funny in speaking with Jack post game just about Quinn. He had said that Quinn does seem really happy. And he's like, I'm actually tuning into Minnesota Wild games for the first time, because he never paid any attention to the Wild. And now he does, just to watch Quinn. And he said they're a very fun team. It'll be interesting. There have been no assurances, as Bill Guerin had told us, with Quinn, and obviously it's up to Quinn and what he wants to do and what is more important to him. But I think winning is just as high up there as playing with your brothers, if not more, right? Like, I know the narrative is cute and sweet, and we want to have the boys together and all that. I don't hear about Brady needing to move to Florida to play with Matthew all the time, right? Like, it doesn't have to be that dynamic. You want to be somewhere where you can win. And right now, Minnesota is in such like win now mode, but also has that window open for a little bit because of the signings to Kaprizov, because Brock Faber is signed long-term. Matt Boldy, who has just been absolutely incredible this season, who's eyeing down those 50 goals. He was locked in at a steal. He'll be re-signed for a long time. So you have a lot of really good young cornerstones in place already that has to entice not just Quinn, but any other big name now that could potentially look to join a contending team like the Wild are right now.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing the team is really missing when you go down their roster is, depth at center. I mean, and that's been the case for a while. I mean, they're certainly not the only team. I mean, we've joked there's probably 27 teams in the league that are looking for a 2C. But listen, Eriksson Ek is such an important player. He's been out. What's the latest on him?
He will miss a third game tonight. He did skate with the team, so it's considered day-to-day. He will travel, but he is out, and that's been a huge loss. As you'd mentioned, they already are lacking because you traded Marco Rossi to get Quinn Hughes, so that was your other big centerpiece that you had. And Joel Eriksson Ek, that net front presence, man, which is something that is so imperative in a game against the Winnipeg Jets, that it's so noticeable when he's not there. You notice it every time he's not on the ice. He's not a true number one. He is just a very, very good number two. So not having him has really killed the Minnesota Wild, who, again, already struggle up the middle, especially at faceoffs, too. Not that Ecker has had a really great percentage in faceoff wins, but they're really struggling at the dot. So without him, it's going to hurt. It's a lower body injury, a freak accident, I believe, in getting off the ice, and he just kind of got tangled up. So it was nothing that was necessarily avoidable or nothing in game. But he is out again tonight, but looks to probably return on the upcoming road trip. He will travel with them.
Yeah, I mean, as Remis has up on the thing, Danila Yurov gets the line one responsibilities along with his countryman Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Zuccarello. Our favorite Ryan Hartman, in between Marcus
Still holding
Johansson.
on to that, are we?
Oh, listen, he'll always be the rat in Winnipeg. And then Sturm and Ben Jones. And then on the blue line, I'm just looking. David Spacek, is that a call up for the game, taking care of? Because I mean, both Brodin and our old pal Bogo on the shelf.
Yeah, David Spacek will make his NHL debut tonight, so very exciting for him. It's been a long-awaited one. You kind of have heard he gets named to the Olympic team, I believe, earlier this week or last week, too, so very exciting news for him. Bad news for Jonas Brodin, and this is a tale as old as time, unfortunately, as it seems with Jonas Brodin. He is hurt. He is week to week, not a specific game interaction. It's been a lingering injury that's been building up. I believe it's the same injury that kept him out for 4 games in December, so it's a tough blow because this seems to be, again, a very continuous thing with Broads. He's not been able to stay healthy for a whole season. Great news for Spacek, though. Obviously, that elevates Middleton then up to that pairing with Jared Spurgeon. And Damon Hunt has been really good. I'm really happy he's a player that they reacquired on waivers. They had initially traded Damon Hunt away along with a number of picks to obtain David Jiricek from the Columbus Blue Jackets last year. That hasn't panned out as well. So I think that's the big reason you're seeing Spacek get his opportunity tonight and see what he can do out there. But Brodin, week to week, his Olympic his Olympic games not quite in jeopardy yet, John Hines told us, but it's definitely going to have to be a conversation as those Olympics near, as he's looking forward to being on Team Sweden. But with this injury, you can't play that game.
Remis just mentioning, and this is just going to make us all feel old, Spacek is Yaroslav Spacek's son.
Yes. Yeah.
Every now and then we get these second generation NHLers coming in or like, oh my God, are you serious?
It's best not to think about it, Huss. It's just best not to think about it.
Hey, yes, Philip Gustafsson has played more games. He's got 28 games to Wallstedt's 19. But has Wallstedt become the number one for the Minnesota Wild?
Maybe, kind of. I mean, I think you have a really good 1-2 punch, in all honesty. Hines has been really good at literally alternating. It was kind of a surprise that you're giving Wallstedt the net again in a back-to-back situation. Not that he played poorly against the Devils by any stretch. But Jesper, again, remember, was a first-round pick. He was supposed to be the guy, the wall in St. Paul, if you will.
Awesome nickname, by the way.
So good, right?
I mean, credit where credit is due.
It's so good. I've heard the Great Wall too, whatever iteration you want. Either way, it makes sense for Jesper Wallstedt. But I think sometimes there's a little bit of a leg up for Jesper. And I think a lot of that, though, he might be getting more starts just to continue that confidence and continue to get him those reps in, right? Philip Gustafsson's been there, done that. And he is the strong, sturdy veteran netminder at this point. So I think just continuing to make sure Jesper stays up, because last year was such a down year for him. And it really, really worked against his confidence and kind of even he had mentioned his mental health in general. It was a really dark place for him last season. So I think a lot of it is just also making sure he's feeling himself. He's playing well. He's playing great hockey. And again, if he's not, Gus is ready. So apparently it's not illegal to have two good goaltenders on your roster. And I love finding that out for the Minnesota Wild.
Just speaking of the Olympics for a minute, it was kind of funny. I was seeing on ESPN, they did a what would a Team Russia look like? And they're very similar to the Wild. Completely stacked on the wings, great defense, solid goaltending, and not a lot of power in the center position. Daniel Yurov actually was, I believe, in the number 2 hole in that thing below Malkin. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Yurov and Kaprizov aren't going to have the opportunity to play in the Olympics. Do they have many? I mean, I guess there's 3 U.S. players in Hughes, Faber, and Boldy.
Yep.
Any other players that'll be in? You mentioned Brodin will have an opportunity.
Yep, Eriksson for Sweden, and then they're taking both goaltenders, which is always very nerve-wracking. Sweden as well. They're taking Wallstedt and Gustafsson. Wow. In addition to Markstrom. So a little nerve-wracking because, again, you want to have all your guys come back healthy. It's great. I'm surprised at Marcus Johansson with the season that he had started off having, and as Johansson has told us, it's my best year yet. Little surprised that he was left off. Spacek is playing. I believe we also have Nico Sturm going for Germany. And I feel like there might be one other, more of an Iowa guy, but I could be wrong. I know there's 8 total. And then John Hines, obviously an assistant on the U.S. bench, and Bill Guerin, obviously general manager for Team USA. So he's pretty familiar with this team. But they're very, very deserving. Hughes, Faber, and Boldy. I don't think anybody was shocked to find them make that roster.
Hey, one other question I got to ask you, and this is not really pertaining to, this game tonight or the Olympics, but we're now, and we've talked about this the last few years in the Central Division, just with how good that it's been and these matchups, like last year, Dallas and Colorado playing in the first round because the Jets won the division. But it's even more so this year for the better part of this season, the top 3 teams in the league have been the top 3 teams in the Central. And assuming Colorado stays where they are, we're planning for 4 months on a Minnesota-Dallas first-round series. Has Bill Guerin ever talked about the playoff format at all? And just the challenges that come with being in a good division as opposed to the Pacific, which is frankly a cupcake division compared to what's happening in the Central right now?
Right, like I would kill to be in the Pacific. Are you kidding me? Like even just you look at the difference in the West in general from those top three, and then how quickly it falls off in the separation there. It's absolutely insane. Or even out East, it's just a totally different format, and it has been. And I think part of you always wears that as a badge of honor, right? I'm sure the Winnipeg Jets have felt the same way. Like, oh yeah, but we're in the Central. Like we're winning against really good competition night in and night out, and we have to go through these horses and these bears. Bill Guerin, I believe we probably asked him in passing once in a while, not specifically pertaining to how it's going to match up this year, but I'm sure his answer and the players I know we've spoken with too, they try to take it game by game. They try not to focus on it. And either way, though, you're going to have to go against tough competition. I think that's always the argument that you come back with, right? Like, yes, it'd be super nice to have a soft, easy, push through 4 or 5 game first round series, right? But you're going to have to go battle in the second round then, and you're going to have to battle in the third round. Do I wish they went back to 1 through 8? Sure. I think that would be kind of fun because there's still a potential for upsets, right? Like you could still have a Columbus top a Tampa Bay Lightning in 4 and take the sweep. We love to see stuff like that. But it's hard. It makes it, the points a little bit more valuable sometimes, but it's also weird because you're kind of locked in. It's kind of going to be Colorado, Dallas, Minnesota at this point.
Well, and whether it's the Jets, if they can get on a miraculous run, or one of the other teams in the Central, I mean, could there be a better spot than finishing in the first wild card?
Yeah.
And then moving over to the Pacific? Because the bottom line is, I mean, call it what you want. If you are playing against the teams in the Pacific, and there's really good teams. I mean, Edmonton, of course, has been to the Cup final the last 2 years. You got a Vegas team that, has won a cup. I mean, not saying it's easy, but whoever comes out of the Pacific is going to be the last man standing between the 3 best teams in the league beating the living hell out of each other for the better part of a month. And as far as I can tell, it's Gary Bettman versus literally everybody else in hockey. Unfortunately, the commish has the last word when it comes to the playoff spots.
And he will hold on to that with his die. He already had to give up Arizona. That killed him. He's going to probably try to round that back up. Like, he's going to hold on to those things that for whatever reason he needs to stand pat on. And this is definitely one of them. It'll be interesting. It makes it a really crazy first round. Like, I'm sure people are going to tune in to see Dallas and Minnesota have to duke it out in that first round, right? Like, there's drama there. There's a ton of drama. Like, we don't even have to get into the North Star drama of it all, but we will, because that's going to be terrible. And Minnesota hates Dallas probably the most of all of their rivals, I will admit.
Well, you know what? A little hate's good for cranking it up beforehand. And then the other thing about the Central is just so nuts that as great as Dallas and Minnesota have been, and Colorado's had a little bit of a slump lately for them. They're still 11 clear of Dallas.
I know, right? Just another world that Colorado has been living in. Although we had Bruce Boudreau on my podcast last week, one final thing, and he had mentioned a really good point that Colorado has been playing at such a high level all season long that they don't have that next gear to kick into necessarily in the playoffs, right? Like every other team kind of finds that second gear. It'll be interesting to see how they battle that, because this little bit of slump adversity that they're facing is nothing, right? Like it'll be interesting, but man, they're good. They're fun to watch.
Yeah, listen, it's we know what the toughest neighborhood in the NHL is, and fortunately for the Jets, they're living it in the wrong part of it right now. But hey, big chance to make it 4 in a row tonight against a division rival. Should be a great one. Enjoy the game tonight at the I always want to call it the Xcel Energy Center, the Grand Casino. Where is the Grand Casino?
There's one, I believe, down south a little bit. There's not one in the Twin Cities. But you know what? You can win big in St. Paul at Grand Casino Arena. The Minnesota Wild have been cashing in those chips all season long. You like that?
We'll put a flyer on the visitors tonight and see what happens. Jessi, always great having you on the program. Enjoy the game tonight. Let's do this again soon.
Sounds good, buddy. We'll talk to you.
Thanks so much. Jessi Pierce, Bar Down Beauties, NHL.com. Give her a follow on X. All right, we are going to check in with our pal Jamie Thomas coming up in just a minute. Got some great feedback on our conversation with Bob Irving yesterday. Really, really fun having Bob on. Of course, Bob is on as we kick off the campaign for the St. Boniface Mega Million Choices Lottery. Millions to win, and a great cause to support the amazing work and research done at the St. Boniface Hospital. Folks, what you're going to want to do is count yourself in and pick up your tickets online at stbmegamillionchoices.ca. You'll be in for the grand prize, a choice of one of 5 dream home packages valued around $1.5 million. And, of course, the other option, $1.25 million cash, tax-free. But right now is the time to get the ticket because, of course, you get in on all of their amazing bonuses and early bird offerings. Get your tickets by midnight Thursday, January 29th to be eligible for the winter bonus worth over $73,000, including a $40,000 cash prize, a number of $5,000 shopping sprees at St. Vital Center, CF Polo Park, or the Outlet Collection Winnipeg, travel vouchers. And then the ultimate bonus a couple weeks later includes the World Cup package, which I would almost want this more than anything else other than the 1.25. Tickets, hotel, and airfare for 2 to a 2026 World Cup soccer game in Vancouver, and $2,000 cash valued at over $10,000, and 5 other winners of a $5,000 shopping spree at St. Vital Polo Park or Outlet Collection Winnipeg. So much winning to be done, all in support of the St. Boniface Hospital. You can pick them up in person at London Drugs or Red River Co-op locations or order online today at stbmegamillionchoices.ca. Huge thanks to Princess Auto for their support of Winnipeg Sports Talk. Of course, we're into the new year. Many of you thinking about maybe some new projects on your list. Well, of course, Princess Auto is where you'll find the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything to complete those projects on your list or start something new for 2026 waiting for you at Princess Auto. You can visit them in person, Panet Road, Portage Avenue West in Winnipeg, as well as in Brandon out there. And you can also shop online 24/7, 365 at princessauto.com. You know, my pal, the Derminator, fired me a message over today from Chud's Power Sports and mentioned that, with everything going on, they felt it was a good idea to switch their website providers from an American company to a Canadian one. Seemed like the right thing to do with everything that's going on. So they've launched the new one. Now, it looks a little different today, a lot faster and streamlined, but there's also a link to the True North parts on the top, which is the e-commerce store, which, of course, takes you to the amazing deals and more at the TrueNorthParts.com site. So you can see that right up at the top right corner, e-commerce store. Click on that for amazing deals on clearance gear and accessories, and of course, all the parts. But for right now, under the promotion tabs, they've got 2 great Polaris deals running right now, one for snow and one for off-road. And those are on right now up to $3,000 off select snowmobiles right now, and up to $4,000 off select off-road vehicles, and financing as low as 0% APR for 60 months. So in addition to popping out and seeing Terminator and the great folks at Chud's Power Sports, Manitoba's undisputed power sports superstore for over 80 years in Gimli, corner of Highway 8 and 231, make sure to check out the brand new site at Chud's Power Sports for all of their incredible vehicles, new and used, financing options, promotions, service and parts, and the best in Polaris, Arctic Cat, timber sled, and more to make the most of winter. Chud'sPowersports.com is where you'll find that. And hey, shout out to Donnie and the gang at Manitoba Battery. I was just noticing that the high on Saturday is a very ugly -24. Perfect, though. At least it's the day the Toronto Maple Leafs are coming to town. Is your car ready for it? Is your battery going to make it through? If you're wondering that, you need to go to Manitoba Battery. Donnie and his great staff will give you a free battery test. And if you need one, why pay more? You'll get the best price in town, period. look at the difference right there from Manitoba Battery, the savings as opposed to Certified or MotoMaster. Almost $100 savings on the MotoMaster battery and over $50 on the other one. It's the best prices in town, period. And of course, you don't have to deal with all the chaos of going to those big box stores. Best service in town. Hell, they'll deliver them to you as well. Citywide, inside the perimeter. Find out more today and order online at manitobabattery.com. All right, we'll hear from Elias Salmonson a little bit later on. Dan Fink's going to join us as well for an update on the Moose. But let's bring in Jamie Thomas from the Winnipeg Jets Network to join us right now. JT, best of the new year to you, man. I haven't talked in a while. How's it going?
It's been going good. I don't even know how you have any breath to talk after 6 hours of commercial reads.
Hey,
but
listen, you got to pay the bills, Jamie.
And I love the way you do it. I want to go get out and get a new battery right now after that one, so it works.
Well, you know what? The Jets need a new battery after 11 straight losses, and it seems like we got a bit of a charge in the team, winning 3 in a row. I imagine that's brightened the mood around downtown a little bit.
It was so quiet around here, buddy. It's like that. The loss to the Oilers was the toughest one, where they had control of the hockey game, and then I don't think there was booing at the end of the game. There was almost like a gasp when the final buzzer went, where people were just like in shock that had happened. So, and then for the streak to end the way it did, with Los Angeles in town on Friday and the singing and the partying going on in the third period, I think that was the perfect festival type style of a third period to end the negative streak. And then you have back-to-back 1-goal victories, thus ending the 13-game winless streak or 13-game losing streak in 1-goal game. So it was not fun, buddy. I will say that for sure. It makes it a lot harder to go to the office every day when things are like that, considering what has been almost the norm around here, which is winning hockey games. So the way it ended and the way things are going right now, much better.
Yeah, no, that is an understatement. I mean, I'll be the first to admit, after that Oiler game, I was cantankerous on the show the next day. I was not in a good mood.
Were you sour?
Like many. I was really sour. I mean, I will be the first one to admit it. I mean,
would you say that you'd had a little bit of negative soup in you that day? Would that be the best way to describe you?
I don't know about negative soup. I think I was showered in it for a month watching everything that had been happening. And at a certain point, it all came out. But we kind of got through it, talked about the Oiler game, and then we had a group there up in 316, said we're going to roll in. And shout out to the New Day from the WWE. The power of positivity was going to come through on Friday night, and they got the win. And I will say this, that atmosphere was the best of the entire year, which was bizarre. Like, I didn't know what to expect going in that night after the Oiler game. I was so impressed with the crowd and the way they were behind the team, regardless of what had been happening. Was a great sign, I think, for the organization, everything overall. And I will say this, the Jets can get on a run and get back into this. We will look back at a signature moment of the season, and it in fact happened in the stands. That girl that chugged the beer on the fan cam and then won fan of the game and did it again, that is the sort of commitment and perseverance that this team is going to need to get back in it. So shout out to her.
That was the big controversy because we were trying to figure out if that was a replay of her chugging the beer from earlier. But as you just told me right now, it sounds like it's confirmed. It was a second.
Okay, this is funny you bring this up because I thought the exact same thing.
Because it looked very similar.
And I hooked up with Balls after the game. Like, hey, great work on that. She was definitely the fan of the game. And it was good that you had that video. He's like, oh, no, that wasn't the video. We put it right back on her. And she went back to town. And I guess because she'd finished her third period beer quite early, made it back to grab one before last call, and then was ready, probably expecting that she was going to be fan of the game. But it was all hands on deck on that game. And then, I mean, all jokes aside, to come out of that game and win a couple close ones. I mean, the Jersey game was certainly no classic, and that was a struggling team. But then to beat an Islanders team that's been really good in the fashion that they did, coming, blowing the 3-goal lead in 3 minutes and then scoring 2 more before the end. Those were some of the things that were really missing in adverse situations over the course of the streak.
Yeah, you said it very well. And I thought it was Sarah and I talked about this today on the check-in. It was like when they blew that 3-goal lead and it was 3-3. I'm like, the Jets that we just saw, a week earlier, they would have crumbled under that. And it was, I didn't see any type of crumbling at all. I felt a lot of persistence from the team. The fact that, and I'm sure you've talked about this, like the secondary scoring that was completely missing is here. And then all 5 goals, if you watch the replay, there's either traffic or just bodies going to the front of the net. And if it's looking for rebounds, and I thought Kyle Connor really started, that in the first period when he picked Matt Barzal's pocket and puts the puck in the empty net behind Ilya Sorokin, who was, coming into that game is and probably still is right now the Vezina Trophy favorite. But to put 5 past him in that fashion. And, they always say, like, if the goalie can't see it, he can't stop it. And the Jets did that. So this is the time of year where you have to score goals like that. And for them to score 5 of them in one game tells me that they've come to an understanding. I know it's only 3 games, but they've understand what needs to be done to win, especially at this time of year and especially the hole that they've dug themselves.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I mean, it's pretty simple to me, and it's not a coincidence that, the team's won 3 straight games and Jonathan Toews has scored in 3 straight.
Right.
And, the connection, I mean, listen, he came out of the break playing really well. I mean, the first game against Minnesota, I thought he was very, very impactful, and they probably deserved a better fate in that one. But now finally seeing it, you can tell he's feeling it right now on the ice.
Yeah.
That's making a big difference with Cole Perfetti. But I give Gabe Vilardi a lot of credit, too, with what he has brought to that line. And getting closer to at least a 2-line team, although we're now getting some stuff from the bottom 6 as well, which I thought has looked good.
Right. Yeah. And to go with your earlier point about the second line, that clearly has been what has been missing for the longest time. You did not have a second line. You didn't have somebody, Cole Perfetti didn't have, was dealing with that high ankle sprain. And I know that gets lost in this whole thing when he was struggling as badly as he was. The fact that he had the ability with over the 5-day break to recover a little bit more and now looks a lot more like himself. But that is all based on how well Gabriel Vilardi has handled this assignment to help out that second line. There's that conversation, break up Scheifele and Connor, but this was just, it's amazing how Gabe Vilardi can help so many different situations. He helped the power play since he was added here from Los Angeles. We look where it's been since he's been a Winnipeg Jet, and now he's helping out. But Jonathan Toews being closer to what we're used to seeing before his final season in the National Hockey League is driving things. And you're right. We could also say Adam Lowry looks a lot more like himself. And for such a long time, the Jets' identity was based on what that third line driving play and keeping the puck in the offensive end of the ice, keeping the best lines out of the Jets' end of the ice. And that wasn't going at all either. So now Lowry, who didn't have an off season, is looking a lot more like himself, and thus the third line is getting closer to the best third line in hockey. And then the little bump from Danny Zhilkin being recalled and what he's added to that line. Now Morgan Barron will center that line tonight, and Morgan Barron's resurgence, or not resurgence, but just coming in as an everyday player and consistent play every night he's on the ice is just such, to have these 4 lines that they've had lately is such a big bonus for them.
Now, the Jets dealing with some injuries on the blue line. Fleury week to week, Miller week to week, and now Pionk week to week. But it does open up an opportunity for Elias Salomonsson, who's back, going to be playing with Dylan Sandberg tonight. And I really thought that, regardless of what happened this month, we would see Elias play regularly, probably in March and into April.
Right.
But, this game, a perfect chance for Elias to go in playing, in the top 4, presumably, with a veteran player in Dylan Sandberg, who consistently makes his partners better. To me, this is a nice spot for Elias to come in and sort of remind the organization that I'm knocking on the door and ready for prime time. Right.
Well, what was a couple of the bigger questions when Kevin Cheveldayoff had his media availability at the halfway mark of the season is opportunities for players to be called up based on the play that they've been doing in the American Hockey League level, and lo and behold, the injuries have opened the door for Danny Zhilkin and now Elias Salomonsson. So this is a great spot, top 4 for him, which is probably his future down the road here within the organization. And why not start tonight especially with the injury to Neil Pionk? Dylan Sandberg is everything is advertised, everything that you wanted to see from him. after he returned from his injury from the preseason. So I like the mix. The organizational depth is being tested with these injuries on the blue line, but you don't feel uncomfortable where you're going, oh no, this is real. Like it's a big loss. Don't get me wrong, without Neil Pionk, because the way he plays the game will be missed. But Logan Stanley, like Luke Shannon in a heavy game this is a perfect game for him. And Elias Salamonson getting the chance with Dylan Sandberg is so big. So the organizational depth being tested, but I don't feel like the concern is there. And there you see the stats that Salamonson has put up in his short time in the National Hockey League. But the sky's the limit for this kid, and really liked him from the time they drafted him and all his way up here, and performance of the World Juniors, and has been solid since he joined the American Hockey League's Manitoba Moose. So happy for him and happy for the organization that are going to get a good long look at him here without Neil Pionk in the lineup.
Yeah, and I think especially for defensemen, and we only played 4 games, but just having a little bit of experience, knowing what more to expect, being a little bit more prepared probably every time you take you get out and you get your chance to go. Yeah, will make him ready to go. So that Sandberg Salamonson pairing will be something we'll be paying attention to tonight. Now, speaking of call-ups, it won't be in the lineup tonight, as you mentioned, with the return of Morgan Barron.
Yeah.
But man, I thought that Danny Zhilkin call-up, and listen, we can argue about whether it was way overdue, and considering the lack of production from a lot of guys, whether it should have happened earlier. But the youthful energy of a young player coming in, playing his first games in the NHL, I thought in a lot of ways was exactly what that team needed. And I really liked the fourth line. And listen, obviously he won't be in, but Cole Koepke was another guy that fairly or unfairly was sort of the one guy that was in the press box quite a bit.
Yes.
I will say this. I think he's made enough of an impact since his return to the lineup that when they're thinking about guys that'll be in and out, to me, he's a regular right now on this team, and certainly part of the top 12 that the Winnipeg Jets have to throw out.
Right. And I mean, what has been the biggest criticism of this team is the lack of team speed now, and Cole Koepke and Zhitnik, or I keep calling him Zhitnik, man, I don't know why, Zhilkin, have provided plenty of that. So I think there was a conversation in the press box the other night. Okay, well, Morgan Barron's getting close to returning. What do you do? I'm like, well, Zhilkin's going to come out. It's just the way the veterans are playing right now. They've elevated their game. I'm talking about Tanner Pearson. You cannot, Morgan Barron's got to be in the lineup regardless. So it's been a nice, not so much surprise, but to have Cole Koepke become a regular and provide offense, provide pressure. He's a great penalty killer. That's the one thing. Certainly the Jets over this 3-game win streak, they're perfect on the PK, and Cole Koepke's been a big part of that. Also, it was great to see Zhilkin killing penalties. Like, that is the ultimate trust in a young player. When you come in and you get to be on the PK, that says a lot about the conversations between Mark Morrison and Scott Arneal about what Zhilkin can do in that situation. So I thought that was a big pat on the back, and also saying, hey, we know that you can do this, and he did a great job of it. So, but Cole Koepke's been a nice, I don't want to say surprise, but nice to have him get the opportunity to prove that he can do this on a night over night basis.
Weird schedule right now in that the Jets have a quick one-off game in the Twin Cities.
Right.
And then are back for the Leafs on Saturday night.
Yes.
And then head out for Jonathan Toews' return to Chicago, which, I listen, this was always a game I think we'd all had circled on our calendar, especially Jonathan.
Yeah.
Coming at a much better time with him playing the way that he is. I'm glad this game is now. Maybe wasn't at the end of November or something like that.
Yeah.
And then right back home the next day. And then you start the the Blues, the Panthers, and I think Detroit on that. I mean, the one thing this team has is a lot of games in a short period of time. And, I mean, they really don't have any other choice other than to get on a real extended hot streak to make up for the hole that was dug throughout November and December. And that's why I think this game is so important tonight. I mean, if they can possibly go in and come out with a result in Minnesota, you're then talking about a 4-game streak. You can legitimately say we've heated up, things are going well, and build on that moving into a game that always has a lot of juice when the Leafs come to town in the building.
Right. You got back-to-back emotional type games, and all you have to do, if you're looking for a way to get yourself over the the top, if you're a member of the Winnipeg Jets, is just think about what happened in Toronto. You had that 4-1 lead, and it just melted away. And we talked about Gabe Vilardi. The one thing I've appreciated about Gabe Vilardi is his brutal honesty, win or lose. Like, that guy is a quote machine in most situations, but his brutal honesty in Toronto was fantastic. The schedule is odd. And I'll tell you right now, someone who had their calendar circled is Sarah Lesky, who will be on that trip to Chicago with Jonathan Taze, because Runway is going to come up with some really good stuff. I don't know if you watched, you know what I mean? Follow him around. Just talked to him the other day about the return to Chicago. I thought the last Runway with 1,000 games with Nino Niederreiter was fantastic. So just keep that in your thoughts. But this schedule is odd, but the fact that if something goes wrong, they've got to get right back out on the ice and fix it. But the 4-game win streak would be nice, especially beating Minnesota, considering what happened the last time these two teams met right after the holidays with the non-Christmas gift and the non-missed call, or the missed call, sorry, on Josh Morris getting buried from behind by Joel Eriksson-Ek. There should be plenty of jam for the game tonight. And then to have the Leafs here on Saturday. The schedule is odd, but there's some great games here up on the horizon.
Yeah, and as the ticker will tell you, it's nice that they got the 3 wins. It's time to figure out a way to win on the road, and that hasn't happened since late November. So tonight sure would be nice to exchange those fortunes as well.
Well, you end the 11-game winless streak, you end the 13-game losing streak in 1-goal games. Now it's time to end the 9-game losing streak on the road. So this is like, you just tick things off. And I really like Scott Arneal talking about yesterday. It's not about getting the 8 points or whatever's you're being 8 points out of a playoff spot. It's get the team in front of you, move past them, and move on to the next one, because then it doesn't seem so daunting. And I specifically remember Nino Niederreiter saying yesterday, we've dug ourselves a hole, and you can tell there's a little bit of happiness, there's joy. They've won 3 in a row, but they also realize there's a ton of work in front of them if they want to get back into the dance. Then as the Stanley Cup playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, speaking of playoffs, one team that is not participating in that is the Dolphins. They fired their coach.
Right. Missed out on John Harbaugh.
As a big Dolphins guy, who's on your wish list to come in and take over? And is Tua done with the Dolphins as well?
I would probably say Tua's done. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. How that looks financially and how they make that happen, I think it probably does.
I think it's like $100 million dead cap hit.
Right. It's going to sink. It would be like the Minnesota Wild for a bit. They let the cap hit of getting rid of I can't remember Suter.
Parise.
Yes, Suter Parise. It's going to wear on their necks like an albatross for the longest time. But I have no ill will towards Tua. I don't think he was set up to succeed at all. In order to have solid quarterback play, you have to have a great offensive line, and they have not built that whatsoever. And then Tyreek Hill being Tyreek Hill didn't help that at all. In terms of head coach, the man I really love, and Mike Tomlin decides. I know I'm hearing that he's not, and I think a lot of people have been hearing that he's not going to coach this year. I would like to think that money can change that situation in a hurry. So back up the cash truck to his house and pay him a little bit. But other than that, I don't have a really good read on about who it would be. Whoever it is, though, there's got to be an offensive guy. I don't want any more defensive people coming in, and we don't really need any more Mike McDaniels coming in at all. I don't want another first-time head coach either. So that limits things a lot. But the organization has messed up so many things that it's just, to me, as a longtime Dolphins fan suffering, I just don't know if they'll be able to get it right. I thought John Harbaugh would be the guy to do it, because you bring credibility and a guy that's going to bring accountability into the building. Good on the Giants for recognizing that and taking care of business. Love how Eli Manning was a part of that process. I don't know how Dan Marino hasn't phoned anybody and get somebody in there, but
get him some isotoners to give to the prospective
Troy
coaches.
Aikman was supposed to be part of this whole thing too. Like, you have 2 Hall of Famers helping out. I don't know how Troy Aikman plays in this whole scheme of things from what he does. But whatever it takes, you got to get somebody in there that's going to turn this around, because it has been so long.
It's a wild coaching carousel right now in the league. Now you add in Tomlin. I think in 2022 there was 10 coaches that changed spots. We're getting close to that right now, and there's a lot of young coaches like that Jesse Minter and the Chargers, who's interviewing with literally everybody.
Shula's grandkid. There's obviously family ties to that part. But I think there was a study done, I read this on the web the other day. Every coach or every team that has a coaching vacancy had or has had quarterback issues within the organization over the years.
It's not a coincidence.
It's not. You have no chance as a coach if your quarterback is not playing well, and it's not fair. And it's this business of we have to do something because the fans need something to happen. Is unfortunate part of sports business. So I don't want to say I don't feel like they'll get it right, but I have a hard time believing they will get it right. I'll still cheer for them just the same, and we'll have these same conversations at the same time of year.
I don't
want to rub it in. I can't even rub it in that the Chiefs missed the playoffs because you had such a long run of excellence. It would just be out of pure envy and jealousy.
Oh, listen, there's been a lot of grave dancing, but I will tell you that I think I look at this. Well, listen, obviously the Jets don't have the rings that the Chiefs have, but I do sort of look at this season for Kansas City as an aberration.
Yeah.
And that they will be back. Hopefully Mahomes is good to go for the start of the season.
A little bit of turbulence.
And, we'll see how this runs out. But if this is a non-playoff year, I mean, maybe a bit of a reset. But the Jets are doing their best to kind of change that narrative. And the only way you can do that is to win some games. I do have a little bit of a Chiefs wish list, though.
Okay, what is it?
By the way, can I interest you in a Matt Nagy as head coach? I know he's getting I hope he gets a job somewhere. And I would love to see your guy, Mike McDaniel, come in and be the OC for Kansas City. Like, that would be a match made in heaven.
He's a genius in that aspect. He just does not inspire people. How about that? That's just like, he's not a guy that you can go, okay, Coach Mike is going to come in and give a great speech because I'm not listening to him. Someone told me
they didn't quit on him, though. I thought that was going to happen, and I was actually kind of impressed at the way the Dolphins finished this season because they did. It looked like that was going to happen, and then it never did.
Yeah, a lot of people were just saying that he had lost the room, but he's like such a nice guy, and I find him very interesting. And I hate the videos that are coming out now that he can't speak, he can't put two words together. I'm like, you can find any video in the world to make somebody look like an idiot. That's the stuff that's going around. But if Mike McDaniel becomes OC in Kansas City, God help everybody, because he'll find a way to make Patrick Mahomes even more lethal than he is. And I'll be scooping him in the first round of my fantasy draft.
Fill us in on you guys will go with the regular time with the check-in on Saturday before the Leaf game?
Yeah, 12:30. Yeah. Okay.
12:30.
Ryan Leslie will be joining us. You know him.
Yes, of course. Former Flames expat. Now he's signed up with the Evil Empire.
With the Leafs. Like, I love the guy to death, but now he's part of the Leafs. I'm like, I kind of can't stand him. In a friendly kind of way.
Well, the battle lines will be clearly drawn in the building on Saturday night. But our focus, of course, is on this big one in the division with the rival Minnesota Wild tonight. Maybe catching them at a good time. They haven't been particularly good after that incredible run after a tough start. And another massive 2 points if the Jets want to find themselves getting back into the thick of things in the Western Wild Card race. JT, great talking to you as always, pal. Enjoy the game tonight.
Thanks, man. Do you remember the Nuke LaLoosh quote from Bull Durham where he's like, I love winning, man. It's like better than losing. Remember, he's on the truck, in the box, he's climbing on the seats, just going, yeah. That's for Crash Davis. Give him all those quotes.
Yeah, well, hey, listen, truer words have never been spoken. And we saw it in the last 3 games at Canada Life Center. Just ask the fans that were leaving the building.
Oh, dude, Friday was the best. I'm so glad that you were in the crowd, but everyone I've talked to that was at the game against the Kings said they had the best time.
Listen, I mean, I left that game happy that the streak was over and we could, just at least for a couple days look back at a win. But also, just as as a Jets fan, as someone that cares about the health of the organization in the city, Eric Comrie spoke about it after how impressed he was with it. There's a lot of fan bases that would have completely turned on a team with their expectations going into the season that had lost 11 in a row. And it was the exact opposite of that. It was, everyone there on that Friday night there having a good time and doing everything they could to sort of will the team to a victory to move past it. And obviously the last 2 games that have followed have been nice as well. So lots more home cooking coming up after this quick one-day stop in the Twin Cities. We'll look forward to getting back to the building on Saturday night as the Leafs come to town. You have a great one, my friend. Great to talk to you as always.
Hey, buddy.
Good stuff. Always. There's Jamie Thomas. Don't forget, 12:30 game days, right before WST, the check-in live on all of the Winnipeg Jets social channels. And make sure if you missed the last runway with Sarah Leski in and around the Nino Niederreiter 1,000th game. Check that one out. They do such a great job of that behind-the-scenes access on the Winnipeg Jets networks. We hit the clean line lines earlier today on the program. Danny Zhilkin out, Morgan Barron in, Elias Salomonsson in for Neil Pionk today. Of course, our lines on game days always brought to you by our great sponsors over at Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical with 24/7 emergency services when you need them the most. 204-500-2001. Leaders in both residential and commercial plumbing, heating, and electrical services. And if you see with Adam Lowry on the screen, Captain approved. Check them out online at cleanline.ca. Might be a great night to get together with the gang. It's actually beautiful outside right now. Going to be getting colder the next few days, so maybe you go out tonight. Get together with your gang at your local Boston Pizza. Grab a Jet player card. Hope they score for your chance to win the BP prize wheel. And enjoy ice-cold schooners, world-famous BP wings, gourmet pizzas, and more. And when you go out to Boston Pizza for Jet games, make sure to see about entering their grand prize draw for the Flight Club menu, that trip to Anaheim to see the Jets at the end of February, only at your local participating Boston Pizza. Staying at home tonight, you can order online at bostonpizza.com. And we are into the thick of winter. It's a great time to get down to Royal Sports. Now, many of you know Royal as the number one spot for hockey gear and equipment for over 50 years. But what you might not know is that they've got more than just high-performance hockey skates. We got the trails opening up right now. The Forks River Skate is open. And many people are looking for a less expensive option when it comes to skates. Royal has them all. Beginner skates and ones that are perfect just for throwing on a few times a year and going out on the rink. If you're looking for skates, start off at Royal. And while you're at it, great deals on hockey sticks and so much more in the hockey department. Winnipeg Jets merch, NFL gear, Blue Jays, Team Canada merch as we get ready to rock the red and white for the Olympics coming up. It is all there at Royal Sports, your Manitoba sports superstore for over 50 years. And don't forget to check out all the great deals in the snowboarding department as well right now as we get into winter. Royals at 750 Pembina Highway. And make sure to check them out on Instagram at Royal Sports Winnipeg for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. Just before we check in on the Manitoba Moose, let's give a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
All right, talked lots of Jets today. Big game tonight. We're going to see Elias Salomonsson reinserted into the lineup. He, of course, just got called up for the Manitoba Moose. Isaac Phillips has been up as well, has been more of an extra, hasn't gotten in yet. And, of course, Danny Zhilkin's been enjoying his time as an NHLer. They've all come from the Manitoba Moose. Moose out on the road right now, moving on from Rockford into Laval this weekend. And the play-by-play voice of the Moose, our guy Dan Fink, joins us now. Finker, how are you, pal?
What's going on, Huss? Doing very well. It's a little chilly. Well, maybe not even that cold, but very snowy here in Laval today. It always seems like the weather doesn't do us any favors when we're here, but certainly looking forward to what should be some hot action at Place Belle coming up for the next couple of days here.
Now, Laval, that's right outside Quebec City?
Right outside Montreal. So just about a half-hour drive if the traffic's cooperating from the airport. So it's a great spot, and truly has since they came into the league just around the same time I did, turned into one of the flagship franchises, the AHL. It's been impressive to see what they've accomplished here.
Well, the Moose will have I guess they'll go 2 on the weekend, and big chance coming off of a tough one in Rockford. Slumps are relative. we've seen some big ones with this club the last couple of years. Obviously, they won the game before, but right now it's sort of like one step forward, one back. I mean, how would you categorize where the team is overall right now, kind of into the new year?
Yeah, it's been after a truly brilliant November where they were kind of a cohesive defensive force. The goaltenders were both operating at a ridiculous pace. Things have kind of tilted on the defensive side of the puck. We're seeing these games where they're giving up 5-6 goals on a semi-consistent basis, and it's real tough to win. Even if you're scoring a ton to win those games, the Moose, they don't score a ton. So that's a tough position to put yourself in. I think there's some frustration in that regard. I mean, we've seen the team here that through the first about 25 games of the season, killed off 5 penalties in a game just 3 times. They're facing down 5 or 6 penalty kills almost nightly over this last near 10 game stretch. So that's certainly an area where they need to clean things up. And we saw that in Rockford certainly the other day, that penalties got them into trouble and really swung that game. So there's just some things that need to clean up in this team's game right now. And that's going to get a little trickier with essentially their top shutdown pairing out of the lineup now and with the Winnipeg Jets. So certainly a difficult test coming up for the next 4 games. The Laval Rocket have been great again this season. Was watching their broadcast last night against the Belleville Senators. Graphic goes up. They're about 4 points off the pace that had them atop the AHL standings last season. So they're having a great season. It's the Grand Rapids Griffins, who are having the best start in AHL history, Huss. In 90 years, the best start in AHL history. So this is going to be a very difficult test for the Moose coming up over the next 4.
Yeah, what's Grand Rapids at like now? Like 29-1-1?
They're at 60 points already, so it's ridiculous. Yeah, I don't think they just missed out on win number 30. Milwaukee came back and beat them in overtime the other night. So they've slowed down, I guess you could call it that, a little over the last few games. They've lost a couple games, still getting points. It's ridiculous, and can't wait to see that matchup coming up here as the Moose test themselves. I mean, look at that record.
Yeah, 29 wins. 2 regulation losses, 2 overtime losses, and
it's incomprehensible. Like I don't.
We thought Colorado was good this year. I mean, they're even at a crazy clip.
Yeah, it's
63 points. 63 points out of a possible 68. Yeah. They played 34 games.
They've lost 2 straight, so I guess their slumps are relative, right, Huss?
You know what? This is the time. This is the time. You got to strike while the iron's hot. I want to talk about a few other players, but first things first, we should give a nod to Thomas Milich, who's going to the AHL All-Star game.
Hey, never let it be said I don't come in with news, Huss. About a half hour ago, of course, Thomas Milich named as the Moose representative for the AHL All-Star Classic. He's very excited. Had a good chat with him today as he's going to be getting to rub shoulders with the best the AHL has to offer. Really like the makeup of the Central Division team. Think they could do some damage in that 3-on-3 tournament. So it should be a great experience for him. And here's a guy who's just been an All-Star pretty much at every level of high hockey that he has played. He was a second-team All-Star in 2022 in the Western Hockey League. He was on the first CHL All-Star team in 2023, ECHL All-Star game in 2024, and now AHL All-Star Classic in 2026. So it's just yet another accolade for this young netminder who made his NHL debut earlier on this season.
Tell us about, we've had a few questions about Isaac Phillips, and, again, he seemingly more as a 7th defenseman right now. We've got Elias that's moving into that spot with Dylan Sandberg. But a pretty important player and a guy that I believe was with Elias quite a bit over the course of this season. Fill us in on Isaac and what you've garnered from his game so far this year with the Moose.
Yeah, I mean, he joined the Moose last season in that trade with Dmitry Kuzmin, and I think the Moose were very excited to have him. They've faced off against him plenty of times since he came into the league as an underage player during the COVID season. Well, I guess didn't see him that season, but the next season. And you know what? I think it took him a little while to find his footing here. Seemed much more comfortable coming into the season, having the opportunity to get in a training camp, knew the city now. And then, like many of the Moose, Elias Salamonson included, kind of got off to a bit of a tough start. But then those two got matched up on a pairing together. and really just started to seem to bring the best out in each other. And it kind of settled down. Isaac Phillips' game, he was choosing his spots better. He was really solid defensively, and those two take up a lot of ice when they're out there, and they both move around so well. I mean, Isaac Phillips, when he's going up ice, he is a force because he moves forward with a lot of power. He moves forward with a lot of speed for a big guy. So he can really lug that puck. He's been very effective for the Moose. And truly that pairing has been very, very good for Manitoba. So it was great to see Isaac get that opportunity, kind of that affirmation. I mean, even though he hasn't gotten into a game yet, that affirmation that he's on the right track, he's doing the right things, and it's being seen by the organization is always great to see. So, of course, his D partner joins him a few days later, and that necessitates Ben Zalotti coming up from the Norfolk Admirals to join the Moose. He's an ECHL All-Star this season. So the depth is there for this Winnipeg Jets organization right now on the back end.
Speaking of D, I got to ask you about Ville Heinola. What was it, 12 points in 12 games? I mean, another guy that had a real slow start to the year, but seems like he's picking it up as the team gets into the stretch.
Well, when you really start to think about Ville Heinola over the past few seasons, because of the injuries, because of circumstance, he hasn't played a lot of hockey. And I think in some ways had to kind of learn to play in life after kind of a significant injury, as every athlete's body is going to change following something like that. And you see players, Mason Shaw going through it last season, Nikita Chibrikov kind of going through it this season. It takes time to sort that out. And now that Ville's had a chance to play in 30 games, he looks like Ville Heinola again, and that's really exciting to see, both for him as a person and as a prospect of this Winnipeg Jets organization. I mean, he's, like you said, he put up 12 points in 12 games over about a month span and was just held off the score sheet the other night. Put up 4 points over 2 games, and he's involved in the offense right now. It's starting to climb up that Moose leaderboard all time. He's up into 6th place for points, tied for 6th in goals. So truly one of the greats to put on the Antlers now at this point is Ville Heinola, and it's really exciting to see him starting to produce like he is offensively and just starting to close in on that trio of forwards that leads the way at 22 points.
Now, Dan, I mean, as someone that's with the club all year long and on a daily basis, there's always excitement when somebody gets a call up, and Danny Zhilkin was no different. I mean, we saw the video of him getting the call, which was really, really cool. And he's added, some energy into the lineup and has really acquitted himself well. But, Danny wasn't a first-round pick. We've got a bunch of other first-rounders that are with the club. What do you think the message is to the rest of the team, especially the young prospects that have high hopes and expectations within the organization, when Danny got when he was the one that was called to come up and get into some NHL action?
Well, I think the first thing to be clear about is there's a lot of excitement in the room. I mean, for Danny Zhilkin, I mean, everybody wants to be the guy that gets that call, but everybody knew the work that Danny Zhilkin has put in over the last little bit, how important he has been to this Moose team this season. And they're all ecstatic for him to get that opportunity. And I think in talking to the coaching staff, a couple of interviews we've had, they've said it just shows the rest of the room. It's a good example of when you put in that work, when you find consistency, when you stay at it, when you trust yourself as a player, when you earn the trust of your coaching staff and just be that player every night, the opportunity is going to come. And it came for Danny Zhilkin. He's had that opportunity and he's run with it. So now he's gotten a few games under his belt, which is great to see. He's been on the ice for a few goals. So that's just brilliant to see. The only downside is we haven't been able to see him actually get into in-person plays. So we've been on the road, of course. So that's the only downside there, is we haven't all been able to go watch a game with him playing, but certainly hope he's able to stay there with the Jets as long as he's able to, and run this opportunity through as much as he can.
Let's get a bit of an update on some of the people that the fans are asking about. First of all, Brad Lambert, kind of quiet for a while. Right after the call-up, had a goal and an assist and a loss. Where's Brad right now, and what's he looking to do moving forward as this season continues?
Yeah, we'll see how the lines shake out going into Laval. Tend to change after a loss, especially one like the Moose had there the other day. But you know what? That line with Chibrikov and Barlow is a couple of the prize prospects for this Jets organization getting linked up as a group. And they seem to be finding some jam. I mean, you got some speed there with Lambert. You got some bite with Chibrikov, who's kind of seeming to get a little bit more up to pace as the season goes on here. And Colby Barlow now all of a sudden has 3 points over his fast 5 or 6 games. game, so he's kind of finding his way as well. It's always going to take these junior players sometimes a little while to get settled into the pro game. So I think that line's found a little bit of jam. We'll see if they're together going forward here, coming out of a tough loss. But you know what, for Brad Lambert, it's much like the example we just saw with Danny Jokin. It's kind of trusting the process and throwing yourself into the fray. And we've seen a little bit more of that from Brad, especially this season. He's been chipping pucks in more where he might try to carry through two guys. So he's making those smarter plays with pucks, and that's what you want to see from a guy. That's how you earn that trust at the next level and kind of truly start to embrace your gifts. And for Brad, that's his speed. So if you can start to get around guys in creative different ways or simple paths, just like I said, making a chip into the zone and then getting after the puck, we've seen a little bit more of that from Brad. So that's great to see and kind of filling out his game here at the AHL level. I know the production and the numbers haven't necessarily been there for a few of these guys, but that's kind of a product of just, I mean, for this Moose team, the power play has struggled at times, so you're not necessarily seeing those power play numbers run up and almost some case double guys' point totals. And on top of that, this is a team that rolls four line. I see the consternation every time we post the lineup, people wondering why this guy's on the fourth line or the third line. Well, if you look the next day, that might be the first line. And that was the case the other night with that Chibrikov, Lambert, Barlow group. Listed as the first line one night, listed as the fourth line the next. They just shuffle it around however they feel like that day. So there's a lot of ice time that's got to go around on this team, a lot of depth. So some of those numbers might not be there, but there's things happening kind of minute to minute with players that you can start to see when you're watching every night.
Finker, you mentioned Barlow, who's had a little bit more juice offensively as of late. But tell us about Brayden Yager. I was at his first game. He scored on his first shift as a pro. Doesn't always come that easy. How's his rookie season as a pro gone so far, and where's his game at right now?
Yeah, I think he quickly found that too, right? And he scored on that first shift. He had a pretty good run off the top of the season, and then life got a little tougher, as it tends to, as the pros kind of settle into the season. So it's certainly a learning process for a guy like Brayden Yager, who's getting some penalty kill time now with Danny Jokin up at the big club. He's kind of slotted into his spot, so that's been good to see him get that opportunity. And you know what? The game is so fast. There's so little room out there at times that for some of these creative players, it can take a little bit. So we've seen those skill plays happen. He just broke out of a bit of a pointless slump and starting to look a little more confident again. So it can be a tough go, especially when you don't necessarily get onto a run where, you pick up 4 points in 4 games and you start to really get that jam going. And again, we've talked about it. This Moose team doesn't score a ton of goals. So sometimes it just takes a little bit, and we're watching a lot of learning going on for guys like Barlow, like Yager. And it's so valuable as they go through this first season in pro.
Set up the weekend for us, Finker.
Looking forward to a great matchup. I mean, this is a Laval team that, as I was saying off the top, it has been very good this season. Of course, well coached by former Moose coach and Jets coach Pascal Vincent, who's going to be repping their division at the All-Star game as a coach once again. So they'll be ready to go. They're coming off a loss in overtime to the Belleville Senators the other night. Have been kind of in a similar place to the Moose over the last 10 games, right around that 500 mark. So this is a big matchup for the Moose. Obviously, coming off a game that they weren't happy about. They're going to be looking to make a statement, and it is always a tough building to play in. It's going to be an absolutely electric atmosphere. Huss, you should have seen the traffic around here. We're staying right across from the rink here in our hotel, and getting to it was just a nightmare. The traffic leading in for a Wednesday night game that was absolutely jammed for the Raptors. Friday nights are bonkers in this building, so it's going to be an incredible atmosphere, and the Moose are going to have to bring their best.
Love it. I guess, obviously, Jets on OB on Saturday night. Both the games on moosehockey.com?
Absolutely. You can catch both games against the Laval Rocket here coming up on cjob.com, as well as AHL TV on Flow Hockey Huss.
And then, let's see, we finish up these games in Laval, and then finally back for some home cooking.
A little bit of a break there, and then in come the Grand Rapids Griffins, as I was talking about earlier. So a chance to see kind of that top team in the AHL and what the Moose can put together against them. Again, Moose can be a little shorthanded without that top D pairing, but certainly looking forward to testing themselves. It's been a while. Those two teams faced off 3 straight games for games 3 to 5 of the AHL season. Moose didn't come out with any points in that set, and it didn't seem great then, but now everybody else has kind of been in the same boat as the Moose were that opening couple of weekends. So, looking forward to getting back onto home ice. Going to be Follow Your Dreams Day on Sunday, the 25th. That's the 2:00 puck drop. So, celebrating Indigenous youth and sport and culture. Those great indigenized jerseys will be back. Just saw the jersey for the first time last night. Actually, got a couple pictures. Looks great as always. So. Really looking forward to getting back home for a few games here. Should be a lot of fun as the Moose welcome in the Griffins, and then the next weekend, the Rockford Ice Hogs. And you can get your tickets at moosehockey.com/tickets.
Good stuff, Dan. Yeah, Moose back at home 23rd, Friday night, 7 p.m., Sunday afternoon at 2 against the Juggernaut Griffins. And then the following weekend, Saturday, Jan 31, Sunday, Feb 1, home. Both games, 2 p.m. Great time to get the family out against the Rockford Ice Hogs. Have a great week. Well, hey, by the way, should mention, I saw your lovely fiance after the game, and she did mention there's a bit of a party coming up for the two of you guys.
Yeah. I mean, you've known her a lot longer than I have.
As a matter of fact.
For those who don't know, my fiance Jenna is a long time Moose and True North employee. I mean, folks might remember her as the 50-50 girl from way back in the day, Mooseketeer, M-Team, all of that stuff. She still has some of the old hardcore hockey outfits.
I think I hired her. I might be basically the reason why
I believe
you guys
true.
are getting married. So you're welcome.
There you go. So thank you. But yeah, we are getting married this summer. We're having our social. I'm getting kind of introduced all over again. I've been to a couple socials. I'm from Alberta. It's not a thing out there. So this is a whole new experience for me, really, on the planning side of this. But it's been a lot of fun. It's slowly seeing kind of all our prize packs and things like that coming together. So really looking forward to that. Just locked in the music. So DJ Finesse and crew are going to be there running the tunes. So looking forward to that. So, hey, if anybody's interested in tickets, you can always fire me a tweet or a DM. I just opened them up today at Daniel the Fink. Send me an email, dfink@moosehockey.com, see if WST Nation wants to get out there for a good time. Should be a lot of fun, and really looking forward to it.
Friday, Feb 20 out at Westdale. It is on.
Jets are on break. The Moose will be playing the next day, so there's good times to be had.
That is a perfect time to do it, and count on some support from our crew, and I'm sure there'll be some other folk. That'll be a really, really fun time. So we'll continue working, doing what we have to do, and then a little bit of a break, and then big party on the 20th. Dan, have a great one, pal, and we'll look forward to Feb 20 as well.
Thanks, us. Looking forward to having everybody out. Looking forward to seeing everybody next weekend at Canada Life Center when the Moose get back on home ice.
Right on, pal. Take it easy. Moose in action this weekend in Laval. Dan Fink, the voice of the Manitoba Moose. Check out all the games and all the coverage over at moosehockey.com. All right, we got a busy night in the National Hockey League. And we've also got the Leafs coming to town on Saturday night. Hopefully a better result than what happened on New Year's Day. Let's welcome in my pal Jake Boland-Moss from Coolbet. Will be back in the lab tomorrow, 10 a.m., cooking up a few winners for WST winners, NFL divisional style, and I'm sure we'll get to tomorrow's game as well. What is up with you, my friend? How's it going?
Going pretty well here, Huss. Excited. Listen, you talked about it. Leafs are going to Winnipeg on Saturday, but tonight it's the first game against Mitch Marner. It'll be in Vegas tonight, and then I think he comes to town like next week or something like that. So, it'll be interesting. Little home and home with Mitch, and I don't know.
What is the welcome? How is that going to go when he comes back to Toronto? Personal feelings aside, do you think it will be a big welcome back? Will he get booed every time he touches the puck? Will it be somewhere in the middle? How is that all going to go?
I think given the way this all kind of has unfolded in the last year or 2 years, however far back you want to go with the Marner saga, I'm leaning towards a boo level. I'm leaning towards people booing every time he touches the puck, similar to how they still boo John Tavares in Long Island. Maybe that changes over time. Maybe, like most things, revisionist history, you look back and say, you know what, he had a good career in Toronto and he needed a change of scenery. But I think with how fresh it still is, the fact they haven't seen him yet this season, I'd expect more boos than cheers, but I could be wrong. I know there's still many people in Leafland that love Mitch Marner and, blame other people for the way he left the Toronto Maple Leafs as opposed to, actually blaming him.
Well, I can tell you there's going to be a massive media crowd there today. And I guess it's back to back. So there's probably no morning skate. So they'll have to wait till after the game to talk to your buddy Mitchie. That being said, just as far as the game goes, I mean, they got waxed by Utah. But before that game, 8-0-2 and 10, including an OT win in Colorado. Like, it kind of seems like a lot of teams that have been in kind of dire situations, they've woken up just when they really needed to.
Yeah, started to right the ship for sure. 10-game point streak, like you mentioned, 8-0-2 in the 10, and then almost felt like a scheduled loss. Like, I saw the line, the betting line that came out for that game, and I was like, wow, like Utah's like a -150 favorite against a team that hasn't, has got at least a point in 10 straight games. And sure enough, it was Utah from the jump. I think it was 3-0 after the first. And just kind of one of those games where you just chalk it up as a scheduled loss. Hopefully tonight they bounce back in Vegas and then we're kind of continue to roll this little streak they've been on because, that 10-game point streak only just got them into a playoff spot. Like, it wasn't like a 10-game point streak had them climbing up the Atlantic. That one just slid them back into wild card one, and it is an absolute battle in the East, as we talk about, I feel like, every time I'm on this show.
Yeah, well, I mean, Buffalo wins last night. They're back into it. And, you've got the two wild card teams at 54, the Caps at 54 in the Metropolitan Division, Leafs 1 point back at 53, Pens and Flyers at 52, Panthers at 51, and the Devils, who are left for dead after being here in Winnipeg and losing on Sunday, have won 2 in a row, and they're at 50. So, I mean, we're going to be having the same conversation every single week all year long until the dust settles at the end of 82 games. But it does bring us to a pretty busy slate in the National Hockey League tonight. Let's kind of get through these cool bet lines. I've got a couple thoughts on some things to put up. Buffalo, as you mentioned, has been red hot. They won last night. They're back at it tonight in back-to-back home games. They've got the Montreal Canadiens. Buffalo's plus 105 home dog. That, of course, is the back-to-back effect. Montreal minus 123. Our guy Bones looks to win his second game as head coach of the Blue Jackets. They got the Canucks in town. Columbus at minus 164.
What a dumpster fire Vancouver is.
Oh,
my
man.
Goodness. What
I know there was
nightmare
some
over
people that thought that 32 might be possible for the Jets, but they've won a few games, and the Canucks really strengthening their grip on last place in the NHL. Philly and Pittsburgh, Flyers plus 141, Pitt minus 167. The Capitals are minus 175 favorites at home against the Sharks. The Kraken continue their East Coast road trip. They're in Beantown to take on the Bruins. Seattle plus 145, Boston minus 172. This game that the Jets are in, looking at break their 9-game road losing streak. Jets plus 120, Minnesota Wild minus 141. We've got Calgary and Chicago. Chicago's a shorter favorite, minus 120. The Oilers are home to the Islanders, who we just saw a couple nights ago. Edmonton minus 164. Islanders plus 140. I don't mind Dallas tonight. I know they were on the card a couple nights ago to the Anaheim Ducks and did not get done. That one's very close to a pick'em right now. Utah minus 112, Dallas minus 104. And then the late night game, and this line actually just moved as we've been doing it, coming down a little bit. Vegas minus 135, Toronto plus 115. Leafs are an intriguing pick tonight because I have a feeling not only have they been playing really well, but this won't be like just another game for a lot of the guys in that room. And I would imagine that's a big message that Chief's going to be giving the team beforehand.
Yeah, listen, I don't know if it's going to be said explicitly, but I think everyone kind of knows the the weight of this game is a bit more than some of the other games. I think the weight of the Colorado game was a bit more than some other games. And, you kind of saw what happened the following night in Utah. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, how they come out. Is Marner going to be shut down offensively? It hasn't been his best offensive year. I saw Justin Bourne from Sportsnet was tweeting some of the stats. He had some rough offensive stuff, but he's been fine defensively and, still on pace for, 86-ish points, 20 goals. So, I think a lot of it's just adjusting for Marner. We'll see kind of what the Leafs have for him tonight. And, I'm excited. Even us, we've talked a lot about this Leafs Vegas game. Sure people are sick of hearing it, but our Super Boost tonight, Mitch and Austin Matthews both to record a point, boosted all the way up to plus 150 from minus 105. So, if you want to jump on that little best buds turned enemies, maybe not enemies, maybe they still chat, both of them to get a point tonight at plus 150
I'm
in
certainly
the combo cards.
I'm certainly here for the Austin point. I mean, he's been phenomenal. And I mean, if you want to look at the turnaround with the Leafs, just look at the turnaround in Austin Matthews and what he's been doing on the field. All right, I've got a 3-gamer that I think we can go with tonight, Jake. Okay. I'm riding with the Sabres in the back-to-back nights. Buffalo plus 105. We're going to ride with Bones and the Blue Jackets. I like the number at minus 164 with Vancouver. And then we'll add the Dallas Stars to that one at minus 104. So I'm looking at that one. I'm putting it in. It's plus 547, probably close to 6-1 by the time the Wizards take care of it and get it up in the combo cards.
Yeah, I'm actually inputting it right now as we're chatting. Stars, Blue Jackets, and Sabres. And I'll definitely get it over 6-1 for you, so I'll make sure that happens.
Love it. So we'll have that one up in the combo cards. Hit our pick last night, which was nice. Vegas, I said to Remis off the top of the show, Vegas has 12 overtime losses and single points. LA had 10 going into that game. It almost seemed destined that it was going to go to overtime. But we got the win for Ottawa. We got the win for Buffalo, and then a late win. Had to go a little into OT for Vegas to get it. So we'll try and keep that going tonight with the Buffalo, Columbus, Dallas play. We'll be in and around 6-1. Check it out in the combo cards over at CoolBet. I'm pumped for tomorrow morning. We've gone back-to-back weeks. We finished the regular season and then went into the playoffs with our partner parlays cashing 4 games this weekend. How are you feeling about your Patriots and this game against the Texans? It was fascinating on Monday night. We haven't spoke since then. How amazing that defense looked. But at the same time, how sketchy the offense looked. And now it doesn't look like Nico Collins, their number 1 receiver, is going to be playing. This is a game that I could see going either way. But I imagine as a Pats fan, being at home, you got to feel good about their chances of moving on to the conference championship.
Yeah, I mean, edge-wise, Huss, you look at all the factors that win. Texans had 1 less day of rest playing on that Monday nighter. Nico Collins goes down. Obviously, that's a big impact if he's not going to play. And then Patriots at home in this spot. Obviously, young quarterback at the helm. First year of Mike Vrabel. It's been a great season, but once again, I am nervous because you look at the way this season's been and all the talk has been about this damn schedule and how easy the schedule has been. You see the Chargers last week. The offense didn't look great in the first half. Defense looked really solid against that bad offensive line, which is what we talked about last Friday. But May kind of got to go with his legs and really started to kickstart something in the second half. So hopefully that was like a first playoff game jitters for May and he's going from the jump. But if CJ Stroud plays like he does against Pittsburgh the other night, I don't know how much the defense can keep him in a football game. Aaron Rodgers, I think that offense has struggled a lot this season. Drake May and the Patriots offense has been solid all season long. I know it's an unbelievable defense in Houston. CJ Stroud needs to take care of the football if they want to win this football game. I'm nervous. I'm nervous. I don't think this is a cakewalk, but I'm telling you, Huss, this is I'm feeling a collision course with Patty and the Bills in the AFC Championship, and I think the storyline, just about everything. The Bills having not been there in so long. The Pats having been there so many times and then having to do the rebuild and then being able to turn it around as fast as they have and being there, I think it would be incredible. But you got to focus on getting through this weekend before you get to that storyline.
Yeah, just latest lines right now. The Bills-Broncos game's basically a pick-em. I mean, it's been -1 for the Bills. It's kind of -1 right now for the Broncos at -108. The money line is Bills just south of even money at -102 and Denver at -115. Interesting to note, I thought that if anything, the Seahawks-Niner line would actually get bigger. It opened at 7.5. I was thinking it might close at 8, 8.5. It's actually come back to 7. There is talk that Fred Warner might be able to play, which would be a big, big boost for San Francisco. But again, they're playing on the short week. They also have lost George Kittle. And we all saw what happened 2 weeks ago when these two teams played in San Francisco with the 1 seed on the line. It was all Seahawks. So I think I'm still liking Seattle. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Houston and the Patriots, Pats 3-point favorites. And right now, the Bears-Rams game's down to 3.5. Chicago plus 3.5 at -108. Rams -3.5 at -110. I get into this now, but I mean, we want to save some bullets for tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. when we crank out our favorite picks against the spread, a couple props each. We'll do some touchdown scorers, and we'll load it all up with a nice boost in the combo cards and the exclusives. Any other big promos or anything cracking right now? I am pumped for the first time to check out the golf scores. I know Patty and I talked about this early. We're back with the PGA Tour, the Sony Open, so that's a good thing. Anything else going on we should let the people know about?
Yeah, we got a jackpot prize pool for the NFL playoffs. I haven't dove too deep into it, but it's there in our promotions. That one's kind of run by our central team. So, we'll have very country-specific promotions that Patty and I and Finner will put together. And then we also have these central promotions, that everyone's seeing across the board, a cool bet. So we have that going right now for the NFL playoffs. And I mean, we won't get to chat. I don't know if we're going to talk about it on tomorrow's show, Huss, but we do have the national championship on Monday. Indiana, an 8-point favorite right now over Miami. The game will be played in Miami, not because of the home team. That's just where the national championship happens to be this year. An interesting one. I have a hard time betting against Miami. I worry that's going to be a heavy public side. But just what they did to Oregon in their last game in the semifinals, and what they've really done all year. Been a really impressive group, and Cignetti's going to try to close it out here and turn what is like a historically poor program into a national champion. I think it would be a great story for football.
Not just a national champion. I mean, if they win this game by a margin, their body of work will put them up with the greatest seasons in college football history. And the fact that it's the Indiana Hoosiers doing it is just simply incredible. I'm a big Mendoza fan. He's probably going to go to the Raiders as the number 1 pick overall. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some NFL teams that are waiting for Monday to give Sig a call as well and see if he might want to do what he did for Indiana for an NFL program right now. But that'll be a great one. I'm definitely on Indiana on that one. And who knows, maybe that will find its way with a couple of the playoff games into one of our parlays tomorrow that we'll cook up on WST Winners, which is live 10 a.m. on the YouTube channel. We will see you all tomorrow morning for that before the regular big show coming up at 1. Jake, have a great one. Enjoy all the games tonight.
So I was going to say one more thing, if you don't mind. I know Matty Hyman's in the chat right now, and he's constantly going on about a bonus marbles race. He's like dying for a bonus marbles race. I haven't ran this by you guys yet, but maybe for Super Bowl week, we run some sort of, WST Winners. We run a marbles race, and then maybe the winner can get some Cool Bet merch from me. I'll send it their way.
That's a great
something
idea.
Like that. Get some more people in the chat, and we'll have a great Super Bowl show leading up to the big game.
So when that'll be our big show on the 6th of February, I believe. And I know that because I know the Jets play Montreal on February 4th, and that's a Wednesday. So there you go, Perfect. Matt. Ask and ye shall receive. We'll cook something up for Super Bowl week with some great Cool Bet merch and whatnot. Great stuff as always. Have a good one. Enjoy the big slate of games tonight. Hopefully we can get a couple more wins, and we'll lock in the lab tonight for our favorite picks for the playoffs for tomorrow at 10 a.m. Have a good one, Jake.
Yeah, thanks for having me, boys.
There is Jake Bolden Moss. one thing that I didn't get to while Jake was there, and I'll bring Remis in for this, is what are our props looking like for the Jets? We did have that last minute. Let's add a Taves goal for the last one. It was plus 375. Taves tonight plus 395 to score. Can you make it 4 in a row? I kind of said, well, the good things happen in threes. We got that. Might be getting a bit greedy. Goal scorers for tonight. Kyle Connor plus 146. Scheif plus 190. Velarde plus 265. Taves plus 395. Perfetti 4-1. And Josh Morrissey plus 530. Taves has been hot. I mean, at almost 4-1. I almost will do that blindly, Reem.
He's hot. I think the big thing for me is he's on power play 1 and getting that ice time. So anyone who's on power play 1, I think threat to score. So he's getting, I think, a lot of time opportunity is big. So Taves, sure, why not? Let's keep the train rolling. At a certain point, he's going to go a game without scoring, I'm sure. But ride the train if they need a power play goal. We're looking at the comparison here of power play penalty kill numbers. Minnesota's power play very strong. Their penalty kill, well, worse than the Jets by 0.2 percentage points. So Taves, power play 1, net front. We saw it happen last game. Could power play going to be big, I think, in this one, stopping Minnesota's, but also the Jets converting on their own.
As far as points goes, plus 140 for Taves to get a point, plus 143 for Perfetti. Morrissey minus 112, Velarde minus 125, Connor and Scheifele, very chalky numbers, minus 251 and minus 213. This will be a good one tonight. I am very much looking forward to seeing Elias Salmonson play with Dylan Sandberg. And as much as it's been fun talking about Danny Zhilkin, Reem, the reemergence and reinsertion of Morgan Barron in the lineup, perfect for a game against the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, I see a lot of comments in the chat, like upset that Zhilkin no longer in. I think you can be upset, but I don't know who you would take out for him. Like, Barron's healthy. He's going to play. He's been solid for the Jets this year, brings a big speed element. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that fourth line with the Jets. Maybe Barron can get on the scoreboard, get some balance. Him and Cole Koepke's had a solid run. Pearson had the big goal. I'm very curious what Jets team we're going to see, as they haven't won on the road since November. It was the end of November, but still, since November. It is January right now. They need to keep pace, need to win just about every game here. Minnesota's been pretty good. Will we see any shenanigans tonight from Minnesota? I do see Ryan Hartman in the lineup. What Stan went after, who was it? Kastelik was Frederick on Edmonton. Remember when you flashed the big smile after Frederick on the ground on his knees, covering his face. Stan showing some restraint. Marcus Foligno, my favorite player, also in the lineup for Minnesota. What are these guys going to pull tonight? What kind of BS are we going to see? There's going to be some exciting stuff. Grand Casino Arena, I keep forgetting as well. It'll always be XL Energy Center to me.
Yeah, no, listen, it is, we've always known it as the XL Energy Center, and that's why I had to ask Jessi, like, where is the Grand Casino? She's like, I don't know, it's somewhere in the south. But you can make it happen.
I know Treasure Island Casino. I went there in a couple of years ago for the Adam Sandler concert. Nice amphitheater there, Treasure Island Casino, just outside Minnesota.
Oh, it's outside the Twin Cities. I thought you meant Treasure Island in Vegas.
No, they have. I guess they have one in. They have one in the middle of nowhere, just outside Minneapolis, like 30-minute drive, and it was like parking lot. It was like getting out of Folk Fest. It was not great parking lot. You just park in a field, but it's a cool venue for a concert. I see they have some concerts there this summer.
Well, we'll focus in on this game tonight. Jets and Wild, 7:00 start. And big day tomorrow on WST. As I mentioned, we've got our divisional round, WST winners coming up at 10 a.m. with myself, Pat, and Jake. And then a full recap of tonight's game against the Minnesota Wild and a look ahead to the visit of the Toronto Maple Leafs, who, of course, are in Vegas tonight. That is going to do it. Big thanks to JBM, to Dan Fink, Jessi Pierce, and Jamie Thomas for joining us on the program. Of a big show tomorrow to kick off the weekend and a marble race, as you all well know. So make sure to join us tomorrow for a big Friday edition of Winnipeg Sports Talk. Thanks again to all the sponsors that make the show happen each and every day, and all of you for making us a part of yours. Enjoy the game tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow right here on WST.
Oh my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.